Hello, this is Bino. I'm an arborist and a certified tree worker, also an ISA evaluator. What we're doing today is talking about the ISA work climb and everything that the evaluators are looking for and what you should know about the test. So it's an updated test where it gives you, there's a bunch more opportunities for you to be failed and have to come down out of the tree than the older version. And also there's about 26 points that could be deducted from you and you'll lower your score. So basically, in the past there was a 20-foot mark and you have 5 throws to throw into the 20-foot mark. Well, there still is it's 20 to 25 feet. They still have that. And then also the final tie-in. The final tie-in is at about 30 to 50 feet. In the old test, you only had 5 tries. But in this newer, updated version, you have 15 tries to throw in. Now, you can either throw in at the 20-foot mark or the final. Not in between, and it is labeled. So if you're trying to throw to the final, they have the branches marked, and that's where you have to throw. Not above it, way high above it, no. But in that mark that they marked, and also at the 20-foot mark if you throw there. So in the past, they also had the final tie-in where you could, there was a 20-minute time limit. So you would throw in at the 20-foot mark and work your way up the tree. And if you didn't get to the final tie-in within 20 minutes, you were failed. You'd have to come down. Well, that's not there anymore. So that's something that's a little bit more updated. The test is the same thing where you go up to a final. Well, you start from the bottom. You need to be able to body thrust up, and body thrust is pass fail. Also, the throw in is pass fail. If you can't throw in, that's pass fail. You can't throw in, you're DQ'd, you're out. You have to be able to body thrust. If you're unable to not just body thrust or use ascenders or whatever to get into the tree. If you can't do that, that's a fail, okay? You work your way up to an aerial inspection. They'll call it out when you're in the tree. And then you proceed to a final where you're going to lanyard in and touch the flags. And then from the final, you go over to a predetermined hand touch. That's station 1. And then the second station is going to be a pole saw touch. And that's on the other side of the tree. After you do that, then you descend back to the ground. So what we'll do is we'll go over those steps, show you what we're looking for. We're going to talk about the throw-in. And with the throw-in, you can use your rope. You can do a coil knot and throw it with your rope up to the, whatever height you can make, or you can use a shot bag. You cannot use like a big shot or any kind of apparatus. It has to either be a shot bag or a rope. And it really does make good sense to bring a shot bag. If you only bring your rope, you can, you're lowering your chances of getting in the tree, because all the trees are a little bit different. There might be some brushy trees, and maybe you can't make it to a final. And even a lower throw-in would be a lot easier if you have a shot bag. So that's something important. So when you're doing the throw-in, remember, now you have 15 tries. And so what you'd want to do, you get prepared, you get your throw-in. If you're going to use a shot bag or your rope with it, whatever. And you got to remember, now there's communication in this. So there's up to 7 deductions if you don't communicate. So it's a good idea to, even if you weren't doing it in your workplace, mention things and communicate to the evaluator so you don't lose points. So when you're going to do your throw-in, you'll get set, ready, and you're going to say stand clear, throwing in, and then you make it throw. All right, and then once you get your ball in, let's see here, yeah, then it comes down. Yeah, anyways, you get your throw in, and that's your try. Now, if you do multiple, say you throw in and you miss and you're continuing, they're going to keep a running count, but every time you're going to throw, make sure you say stand clear, throwing in. That's communication. You don't want to get marked points. There's a few different ways to install your rope now where you can also do an SRS system and an MRS system, so you can use both. So I'll do a setup real quick of an MRS system, but I also mention about the SRS system. in this test, they're going to mention to you that if you set up SRS, your system has to be able to be removed at the end of the climb, right? You have to use a system that when you complete your test, when you get to the ground, you can remove it. So if there's a system where you can't remove it, that's not something that you can do. It has to be something that you can retrieve from the ground. It has to be retrievable. And then on an MRS system, you would do, you know, same thing where you get your rope and you know, tie it with, you know, whatever your favorite is. I like using a clove hitch and a half. Okay. So now I'll pull this up. This is at a 20-foot mark. So this would be if you were going to do, if you didn't get the final tie-in and you're working your way up the tree. Alrighty, that's how you would install that. And the next we'll talk about, I'll get this all set up and then we'll talk about body thrusting up the tree. We're going to talk about body thrusting up. So in body thrusting, if you're using an MRS system, like I mentioned, you have to make sure that you will not put yourself in a position to fall more than 3 feet. So I'll show you what that looks like. If you cause a loop in your line and it can cause you to be more than 3 feet. Okay, a loop like this in your line would be a reason for the evaluators to tell you to manage your rope. Remember that one call is a warning, and then any more after that can constitute as a fail. So that's in as your body thrusting. Also, throughout the test, you have to manage your pendulum. The pendulum is your angle in which you climb. Remember, the more vertical your line is, the better your climb will be. Now, say you're up in the tree, and now you're going to do, say, your hand touch. And there's a branch like this, and now you're going to go in that direction. So you're in the tree, you land on a branch, and now you start walking this direction. Okay, but this branch right here is reducing your horizontal. So say you start walking this way, and you can see that this angle is greatly reduced and it's not a good pendulum anymore. So then if you hear the evaluators tell you, climber, your angle, now you don't want to continue, you do want to make sure that you fix this, right? This is not a good angle. If you have an angle like this and you fall, you could have a wicked fall. So if you have a call like that, you definitely want to fix it. So you go back and make it or do something to make your angle better. Also, if you're using an MRS system, in the past you just have to body thrust. Well, you do have options. You can still use like a foot ascender. So if you're body thrusting with a foot ascender, you just put it on, and then you could do, you can use your foot ascender to ascend with an MRS system. And that's something that's legal to do now. And if you're using SRS, you get your system all ready to go. Make sure you have everything you need, like your ascenders, your chesty, if that's what you're going to use, anything before you start to go up. Because once you're up there and you have to try to come back down, you're really going to waste a lot of time. You want to make sure that if you say your friction device, if you're using mechanical, something goes wrong on it and you still plan on continuing the test by going into MRS system and using a friction cord, make sure you revert back to that the hitch that you did previous in the test. So when you were doing your knot section, they have already approved you for a friction hitch to use to climb. So if something went wrong with your mechanical and you decide to do MRS, that's what you would go back to the one that's already been approved. Alrighty, so next we'll go up to the 20-foot mark. One other thing, communication's a huge thing, because the evaluators, you want to make sure they're hearing everything that's going on. So before you enter the tree, it wouldn't hurt to say, climber entering tree. Okay, let's go up. Now that you reached to the 20-foot mark, the evaluator in the tree will yell at you to do an aerial inspection. So you want to say, attaching lanyard, securing lanyard, either way, connect it. Once you're secured, and now you do your aerial inspection. Now you're going to reiterate everything that you may have said on the ground. Well, not really, because more now you're in tune to the canopy. And so you have a better opportunity to see what the branches look like from here. So there's, on this other side of a tree, I can see an old crack. Now you want to have a look around and just tell them, hey, I noticed a crack over there. It still looks solid, but I just be aware of that branch. And then also you're going to go through the whole canopy where you're at. And also you're going to inspect your final tie-in. You're working toward that final tie-in. And from what you could see now, maybe you got a better view of it. So you want to mention that now I'm going to that final tie-in, and from here it looks like a good tie-in point. So then you're going to let them know that you're complete with your inspection after you name anything. It wouldn't hurt to say, hey, no visual electrical conduits, anything in the tree, nothing electrical. I don't see any bird nest or bees, any kind of raccoon or anything. So as long as you cleared all that, you let them know I'm clear with my aerial inspection, then they'll give you the clear to go on. Now you've made it to the final tie-in. Now, if this was a tree that had a good center leader and where they have it flagged, they're smaller branches, you would want to definitely make sure that you pick the better anchor point. Okay, this one's got two big beefy branches, so on either side it would definitely work. Once you get there, you lanyard yourself into the tie-in point, you touch the ribbon, and then you do an on-rope test. So do an on-rope test, you're secure to go. You let the evaluator, you would have attached, I forgot, you lanyard in, so you lanyard in, attaching lanyard, secure it, make sure that you're reminding the evaluator so they can hear you. Lanyard secure, touch the final tie-in point looks good, and then I want to continue to the first station, the hand touch. Once you get to the hand station, you want to make sure that you lanyard in. You also let the evaluator know. Attaching lanyard to secure myself, you lanyard in to your D-ring, tighten up, get prepared. Now once you're all set, you use your saw and you touch the flag. You put the flag away or let them know, touching flag, they'll give you an all clear. You put the saw back, secure it. In the rules, it states that if you are in an area where you can swing and fall, climber must not continue. So having this lanyard is very important. Now that you got to the pole saw station, secure your lanyard. Securing in lanyard to tree, preparing to do the pole saw touch. Connect it. All right, let them know you're connected. Oops. Now once you're set, you would call up for the pole saw. We don't have anybody on the ground, so I pre-tied it. Hopefully I can get it up to me. Here we go. Bringing up a call for the pole saw. They say all clear. I start bringing it up. Here it comes. All right. All right. I've secured the pole saw. Since I'm already tied in, use two hands and reach and touch the pole saw. Touching flag, they hear all clear. You connect it, and now if you place the saw in the tree, you want to face it away from you. So somewhere where it's not going to fall. So normally what you would do at this point is send the saw back down. I got nobody on the ground at the moment, so I'll talk about a few other things. So after the second hand touch, basically the climb is done. and you're going to prepare for the descent. Now, if you're descending and you have an MRS system, what you would want to do is get your rope and tell the evaluator, this is I'm preparing to descent, this loop in the rope. So this goes all the way to the ground and touches here. That means that you have enough rope to reach the ground. You say, this is efficient. This is the right amount of rope that I need to descend. Also, I'm going to put a figure 8 in my my running end, so I won't have any accidents. So that would be for MRS system. Now, if you have a SRS system, just having, you know, this rope, and all you have to do is show one length. You could just say, you know, basically it's already set up. So you're in an SRS system. This is the right amount of rope for me to descend, and I can descend from here. So that's how you would do it. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the saw down, and I'll descend. When you descend, you definitely don't want your friction hitch or your device. You don't want to fly down. You want to take your time and descend slowly. What can happen is if you descend quickly and look uncontrolled, you'll get mark points, and it could even be a fail. So next I'll be descending. Now I'm going to descend to the ground from here. Instead of me like trying to get back over to that section, if you have a long walk, you got a good crotch, you can also descend from there. Basically, as long as you got enough rope. You want to unsecure yourself with your lanyard. Remove a lanyard. Remember, throughout the test, you want this lanyard secured at your waist after every attach and detach. If you have a lanyard that is a single lanyard and it has like a clip that dangles, you definitely don't want the clip dangling. You got to connect it to your saddle. If it's just like a stopper knot and it dangles, that's not a problem. The problem is the hardware. Also, something that I didn't mention on the way up, if you just didn't do your final, but you're working your way up the tree, every time, like when you get to that 20-foot mark, you can throw up as many times as you need. There's no limit. When you are throwing your rope, you have to detach your clip if you're throwing more than 5 feet above your head. So if you're going to do like try to get to the final from the 20-foot mark and you're going to huck that rope high, you got to take your clip off, and when you get it back to yourself, you can clip it back in. Now, if you have branches that are all the way up and they're like 5 feet, you can do it multiple times. You don't have to take your clip off, as long as it's not above the 5-foot mark above your head. So in descending, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go slowly, because what I don't want to do is have an uncontrolled fall. So slowly descend into a crotch. There we go. All right. And you want to take your time. You don't want to use a lot of speed. Just take your time slowly to the ground. And there you go. Once you get to the ground, the time stops. But also, so the whole test is a 45-minute test. But if you complete it in 30 minutes, you get full credit. If you go further than 30, it's considered a fail, but it's not a fail that just DQs you. It's a fail that adds deductions to you. So if you get to the test, you do the whole test in 30, you get full credit. If you do it past 30, they mark you 3 points. So, you know, points are important. If you're getting deductions, that could cause you to fail. Anyhow, that's a way to descend. Controlled manner, slowly, and then reach the ground. That's when the time stops. Now that I've reached the ground and the time stopped, remember, one of the comments is, or the important comment is, that you have to be able to retrieve your climbing system from the ground. Okay, so what I used on my tie-in was a Alpine butterfly connected to a quickie, and so it's just a canopy tie. I did do a redirect when I was coming out of the tree. Instead of going back up to the trunk, I have one redirect. Now, if you have climbing systems with a canopy tie and you use something like a Texas tug, you know, just in case you do redirects, that's okay to set in the tree. It just has to be retrievable. And any of the other systems, as long as you can retrieve it. So you want to make sure that, you know, I've got my stopper knot taken off. Now I'm going to go to the other side and I'll bring my system down. So I'm going to go down to the line where I'm going to retrieve it. And so sometimes with a canopy tie, if there's a redirect, it could be very difficult to bring down. So it's not so bad because I have one redirect and it is kind of far away. So it might be a little bit hard, but I'm pretty sure I should be able to bring it down. Here it comes. Got it back down to me, and here it is. I've got the other end. All I have to do is send it through and definitely loose, and I can definitely get it down from the ground. So remember that if you have a system, whatever it is, you have to be able to retrieve it from the ground. Well, there you guys have it. That's the new ISA updated 2024 work climber test. Real important to pay attention to all the rules. It's something that you can do. You can go to the ISA website and download that test. You could see it. It's really important that you know what's happening throughout the test. This test has a heck of a lot more pass-fails where you can be DQ'd in the tree than the last. The original test didn't have that many DQs, but this one does. And there's a lot more points that can be deducted, even in just command response alone. And in each category, there's enough to, you know, that you could fail. So I think you can miss a max of like 11 points or something like that, or what is it, 20? Anyways, you'd have to look up. It'll say it in the information. You don't want to lose points. You just want to do a good, clean climb. Make sure that you prepare, you practice, get all your gear that's in good condition. You don't want to go the day of and find that you left something at home. Really, a shot bag's so important. It can make the difference by you climbing or not. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the ISA work climb. Comment, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And by all means, share our videos. Take care. We'll see you next time.